Positive mental attitude, the invisible force that builds empire's success, is not built by luck. It is not handed down by fate. It is forged through thought, belief, and unwavering inner strength. The man who wins is not always the most talented, the wealthiest, or even the most educated. The man who wins is the one who thinks he can. He sees opportunity when others see defeat. He finds hope where others find despair. He decides that his attitude, not the world around him, shall shape his destiny. A positive mental attitude is more than a smile on your face. It is a fortress in your mind. It is the unwavering belief that no matter what comes, you are greater than your circumstance. When adversity knocks, most people fold. But those with a positive attitude do not see obstacles as enemies. They see them as tests, as teachers, as tools. They do not ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this trying to make of me? Understand this. Your thoughts are seeds, and your mind is the soil. Plant defeat, and your life will be barren. Plant courage, joy, and hope, and watch your world bloom. You cannot control every event, but you can always control your attitude. There is a law that governs all success, the law of attraction of thought. Think you are weak, and weakness clings to you. Think you are capable, and you awaken hidden reservoirs of power. The man who believes he can sends a command to the universe, and the universe answers. Doubt and fear are thieves. They steal energy. They steal time. They rob you of your dreams before you even attempt them. But faith backed by a positive mental attitude builds. It builds confidence, action, and results, and empires. Do not wait for the world to give you permission to believe in yourself. Claim it now. Decide that no circumstance, no person, and no failure will ever shake your inner belief. Every champion of history has one thing in common. They held on to belief when no one else did. They walked into darkness with light in their mind, and that light, that attitude, was enough to ignite mountains of success. Train your mind to focus on what is possible. Expect victory. Walk as if the dream is already yours. That is the power of a positive mental attitude. That is the force that moves men to climb higher, fight longer, and endure deeper than the world thinks is possible. Let others doubt. Let others quit. Keep your mind guarded, your spirit focused, and your attitude lifted. The man who wins is the man who never gives up on the power of his own mind. Let me know if you'd like this formatted as a YouTube script or expanded into a longer piece. Your mind is the master key. Every triumph or tragedy, every rise or fall, begins not in the outer world, but within the silent chambers of thought. It is there in that invisible workshop that you shape your future long before the world sees a single result. Success is not born of mere effort alone. It is born of the belief behind that effort. And belief is a product of attitude. The man who holds a positive mental attitude possesses a force more powerful than money, connections, or luck. He holds dominion over his own fate. Everything you have accomplished, every victory you have tasted or loss you have suffered, began first as a thought. Before the builder lays stone, he first imagines the structure. Before the author writes a word, she first sees the story in her mind. And before any man rises to great heights, he must first believe that rising is possible. That belief begins with attitude. Attitude is not a feeling. It is a chosen response. It is a decision made every morning before your feet touch the ground. Life will present you with storms, and no man escapes hardship. But how you interpret those hardships, how you choose to respond, determines your direction. The negative man sees walls and turns back. The positive man sees walls and begins to climb. One sees defeat. The other sees a challenge worthy of him. The event is the same. The mind makes the difference. To master your attitude is to seize the helm of your life. The moment you decide to think with clarity, purpose, and confidence, you begin to alter your reality. You start to see doors where others see dead ends. You start to speak with conviction while others mumble doubt. You act boldly while others hesitate. This mental posture draws success like a magnet draws iron, because the world responds not just to action, but to the energy behind that action. An attitude determines that energy. Do not underestimate the invisible power of your dominant thoughts. Your thoughts dictate your emotions guide your actions, and your actions shape your results. You may think a single negative thought is harmless, but it plants a seed. That seed becomes a pattern. That pattern becomes a belief. And that belief becomes a barrier to your own success. If you constantly feed your mind with doubt, fear and frustration, you cannot expect to reap confidence, progress, and prosperity. Your outer life is a mirror held up to your inner world. If the reflection displeases you, it is not the mirror you must shatter. It is the image you are projecting. The man who rules his thoughts rules his life. He understands that life is not about what happens to him. It is about what happens within him. He can face betrayal and keep his honor. He can walk through failure and remain undeterred. He can be mocked, doubted, ignored, and still move forward with power. This is not because the path is easy, but because his mind is prepared. And a prepared mind is an unstoppable force. Your mind is a tool, but like any tool, it must be sharpened. Left unattended, it will rust. Left untrained, it will follow fear, not courage. It will drift instead of drive. And drift leads to destruction. So you must train your mind daily, feeding it with the thoughts that build rather than break. Just as a farmer waters his crops, you must water your mind with wisdom, inspiration, and truth. The weeds of worry and self-doubt grow quickly in a neglected field. But with care and attention, the seeds of greatness take root and grow tall. There is no man, no event, and no condition that can imprison the mind unless the mind consents. History is filled with men who were locked behind bars but walked in mental freedom, just as it is filled with men who had all the world's comforts and yet lived in chains of fear and depression. The battle is not out there, and once you realize that, you gain the power to reclaim your life from chaos and bring it into order. It is not what happens to you, but what you do with it that counts. A man with a positive mental attitude turns adversity into advantage. He understands that every setback holds a lesson, every hardship conceals a gift, and every delay is preparation in disguise. While others waste time complaining, he spends that same time creating. While others look for someone to blame, he searches for a path forward. That mindset, that attitude, that posture of strength is what separates the exceptional from the average. No army, no opposition, no economic collapse can defeat the man who has decided that he will not be defeated. His weapon is not found in his hand. It is found in his thoughts. He chooses his attitude the way a warrior chooses his sword, with care, with pride, with discipline, and once chosen, he holds on to it in battle. That attitude speaks to the world. It tells others what to expect from him. It builds alliances, creates opportunities, and opens doors that talent alone cannot open. Every great man who ever lived, every inventor, builder, leader, artist, and conqueror possessed one common trait: the ability to see what others could not see and believe it before it existed. That vision was powered by attitude. Not every day was easy. Not every attempt was successful. But they refused to surrender their mind to negativity. And because they controlled their mind, they controlled their outcome. When you choose to develop a positive mental attitude, you are not denying reality. You are redefining your relationship with it. You are saying, I will face this storm with strength. I will find meaning in this pain. I will not allow this challenge to reduce me. That choice builds resilience, and resilience builds legacy. There will be days when the clouds gather thick, when the world seems against you, when even your own reflection looks uncertain. But it is on those days that your attitude is tested and strengthened. Diamonds are formed under pressure, and so is character. The man who can maintain his belief even when everything around him seems to crumble is the man who will one day build a palace from the rubble. Your circumstances do not define you. Your response does. And your response is always born in the mind. Will you complain or will you conquer? Will you shrink or will you rise? Will you react or will you choose to respond with clarity, calm, and courage? That choice is your power. That power lies in your attitude. And so the key to a successful life is not out there in some distant opportunity, in some future event, or in the hands of another man. The key has always been in your possession. It is the way you think, the way you take care of yourself when no one is watching. And the way you see the world, not as it is, but as it could be. Success begins long before the first win. It begins in the silence of your own thoughts, in the resolve you carry into every challenge, in the invisible but unstoppable force of your mental attitude. You hold the key. A positive mind attracts positive outcomes. This is not wishful thinking. It is a principle as real as gravity. Your dominant thoughts are not idle. They are powerful magnetic forces that shape the events, people, and opportunities that come into your life. Think of your mind as a broadcasting tower. Every thought you emit sends out a signal into the universe. That signal either draws or repels aligns or disturbs. A negative attitude filled with fear, doubt, and frustration sends out confusion and resistance. It blocks opportunity, repels help, and draws to itself more reasons to stay discouraged. But a positive attitude does the opposite. It pulls success. It attracts goodwill. It summons unseen aid. Everything in your life begins with the unseen. A thought that becomes the plan. The belief that becomes the effort. The attitude that shapes your approach. And it is your approach that determines your results. A man who walks into a room with confidence commands attention before he speaks. A man who believes in himself acts in a way that invites belief from others. People respond to energy before they respond to action. They sense your spirit before they hear your strategy. That spirit, the one that says, I expect good, I welcome good, I act on good, that spirit is what creates favorable results. A negative attitude clouds the mind. It shuts down creativity, poisons relationships, and creates hesitation. It makes a man blind to the opportunity standing right in front of him. Even when success is within reach, he will find a way to sabotage it if his thoughts are wrapped in negativity. Because he does not believe he deserves it. On the other hand, the man with a positive mental attitude sees possibilities where others see problem doors, where others see bricks. And because he expects success, he moves in a way that invites it. Your thoughts create your focus, and your focus shapes your reality. If you focus on failure, your actions become cautious, tentative, and fearful. You become passive. You miss opportunities, and the cycle of defeat continues. But when you focus on victory, even in the middle of a struggle, your body responds. Your emotions rise, and your actions sharpen. You take risks. You push forward. You persist. And the universe responds. This is not superstition. This is the law of cause and effect, working on the level of thought. A positive mind is not blind to difficulty. It simply refuses to be ruled by it. It acknowledges challenges but does not surrender to them. It sees the storm but keeps sailing. It hears the noise but listens to the voice of truth within. It holds fast to the belief that better is possible. And that belief alone has the power to shape your outcomes more than any external advantage ever could. The truth is, your thoughts are instructions. Each day you are instructing your subconscious mind what to create, what to pursue, what to accept. And the subconscious does not question, it obeys. It brings into your life whatever matches your dominant thoughts. Feed it with discouragement and fear, and it will guide you towards situations that reflect that. Feed it with hope, purpose, and confidence, and it will begin to magnetize your actions towards your dreams. Success does not come to the man who merely works hard. It comes to the man who works hard and thinks right. There are many who lowbar from dawn to dusk and still remain stuck because they poison their efforts with toxic thoughts. But there are others, often with fewer resources, who rise quickly, not because they are lucky, but because they are aligned. Their thoughts, emotions, and actions all move in harmony for what the outcome they believe is theirs. A positive mental attitude is not a mask. It is a force. It is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about believing that you have the power to improve it. It is about expecting growth, expecting help, expecting doors to open, not because life owes you anything, but because you are doing the work and thinking the thoughts that attract the outcome. Look at nature. The sun does not shine only on the rich or the powerful. It shines on the oak. The soil accepts the seed without judgment, but only the seed that is planted, watered, and cultivated brings a harvest. Likewise, your mind must be cultivated. Guard it like a treasure. Refuse to allow fear to live there rent-free. Refuse to allow failure to set up a permanent address in your thoughts. Replace every limiting belief with a declaration of possibility. The world reflects your state of mind back to you. If you believe you are unlucky, you will start to notice setbacks more than solutions. If you believe people are against you, you will interpret every event as threat. But if you believe that you are growing, evolving, and rising, you will begin to see lessons in every failure, strength in every struggle, and purpose in every pain. That shift in perception changes everything. You do not have to force the outcome. You have to focus your mind. Right thoughts lead to right feelings, and right feelings lead to inspired actions. When you act from a positive emotional state, faith, love, courage, enthusiasm, you act with clarity and power. And it is this power that bends events in your favor, not immediately, not magically, but steadily, inevitably and permanently. So do not ask life to be easier. Ask your mind to be stronger. Do not beg for fortune. Build the attitude that attracts it. The more you expect good, the more you see it. The more you believe in growth, the more growth finds you. Thought is the first cause. Attitude is the driver. And results are the byproduct. Train your mind to see what's possible. Flood your thinking with images of success, stories of triumph, reminders of your strength, remainders of your... Surround yourself with those who lift you. Speak words that align with the future you desire. And most of all, feel now the joy and power you seek to live later. Because thought, when backed by emotion, becomes the most potent magnet known to man. What you think, you draw to yourself. A negative attitude repels success. A positive one commands it. Faith is the foundation of all achievement. Every towering success, every monument of greatness began as a silent, invisible force. Belief. It was not built with stone, nor carved with tools, nor funded with fortune. It was born in the heart and mind of a man who believed in himself when there was no evidence he should. This belief, this deep, unwavering confidence in the unseen, is the seed from which all progress grows. Without it, action dies before it begins. With it, even the impossible becomes probable. Faith is not a passive feeling. It is a mental posture. It is the soul's decision to move forward when reason offers no guarantee. It is the quiet voice that says, I will rise, even when the world shouts, you will fail, you will fail. Doubt sees the mountain and turns back. Faith sees the mountain and begins to climb. And as it climbs, the mountain seems to shrink because faith does not measure the obstacle. It magnifies the man. No man ever achieved greatness by accident. He had to believe he was capable of more than what others saw. And belief is not rooted in the eyes. It is rooted in the spirit. It comes not from what you have, but from what you decide. It is the power to look at a closed door and know that behind it lies your destiny. It is the refusal to accept present limitation as permanent truth. It is the energy that compels you to act before the results appear. Faith is not blind. It sees deeper. It does not ignore facts. It transcends them. It looks at the facts and says, these are temporary. What I carry within me, eternal. A man with faith walks differently. He speaks with conviction. He endures hardship without collapsing. He falls and rises without shame. He is anchored, not in his surroundings, but in his vision. That vision becomes his reality, because what the mind holds in faith, the world eventually reflects in form. Doubt, on the other hand, is a silent killer. It does not strike with noise. It whispers. It questions. It delays. And in that delay, action is poison. Momentum is lost. Doubt tells a man to wait, to second guess, to shrink. And while he waits, the world moves on. Doubt is the ally of failure. It builds no bridges, no cities, no empires. It only builds regret. But faith builds forward. It does not ask permission. It does not rely on applause. It simply moves, and the path appears. Many look for signs before they act. They wait for the money, the support, the opportunity. But the man of faith creates a sign by acting. He knows that the universe rewards the one who takes steps in confidence. He builds the bridge as he walks across it. He plants the seed before he sees the harvest. And because he moves in belief, he becomes unstoppable. Look through history. Every revolutionary, every leader, every creator had to defy the visible in favor of the invisible. They were told it could not be done. They were warned, criticized, doubted. And yet they pressed forward, not because they had certainty in results, but because they had faith in purpose. That faith turned obstacles into stepping stones. Each failure became instruction. Each delay became preparation. And every no became fuel for a stronger yes. Faith transforms the way you handle setbacks. It changes how you view rejection. Where the faithless man sees a wall, the faithful man sees a redirection. Where the doubter gives up, the believer presses on. Faith teaches that nothing is wasted. Every challenge carries within it a reward if you do not quit. Faith does not erase pain. It repurposes it. It takes the weight of adversity, turns it into strength. The man of faith grows stronger in the fire. But faith is not merely hope. Hope is passive. Faith is active. Faith demands that you back belief with effort. It demands that you show up even when the conditions are not perfect. That you try even when success seems distant. That you stand tall even when the ground shakes beneath you. Faith without action is fantasy. But faith with action is force. You must develop this faith by feeding it daily. You must speak words of power. Think thoughts of victory. Surround yourself with those who uplift. Uplift. Reject the poison of pessimism. There will be days when your circumstances mock your belief, days when you feel alone, misunderstood, and defeated. But these are the moments that build your faith, not break it. For faith, like muscle, grows under resistance. You may not control how long the journey takes or how many times you fall along the way, but you can control what you believe about yourself. And what you believe will become what you pursue. What you pursue will become what you experience. When you know within yourself that your dream is worthy and that you are worthy of it, you rise above limitation. You stop asking, what if I fail? And begin declaring, what if I succeed beyond measure? Faith is your compass when direction seems lost. It is your fuel when your tank runs dry. It is the fire that keeps you warm in the cold nights of doubt. It is the bridge between what you are and what you can become. You must guard it, cultivate it, protect it from those who speak only in limitation. Their doubt is their prison. Do not let it become yours. You are not here by accident. Hey, the very fact that you dream, that you hope, that you strive, proves that something greater seeks expression through you. And that greatness will not be reached by logic alone. It will be reached by faith, faith in your capacity, faith in your purpose, faith in the fact that no matter what lies ahead, you are equipped to overcome it. When you feel like giving up, when the climb grows steep and the path darkens, do not look outward, look inward. Ask yourself, what do I believe about who I am? For in that answer lies your destiny. If you believe you are capable, you will find a way. If you believe you are strong, you will draw on that strength. If you believe that every challenge is here to make you, not break you, then even your lowest moment becomes a turning point. You are not defined by your struggle. You are defined by your response to it. And faith is the highest response a man can make. It is the declaration that even now, in this moment, you are moving forward, not by sight, but by vision, not by ease, but by strength, not by chance, but by decision. Faith builds, doubt destroys. Choose to build, circumstances bow to inner power. Life, with all its unpredictable winds and towering storms, cannot conquer the man who has made up his mind that defeat is not an option. The world may press against him, deny him, delay him, but it cannot destroy him. For no outside force or no setback, no condition can overcome the soul that has chosen to rise. Victory is not always determined by the might of the challenge, but by the strength of the response. And that strength begins in the attitude a man carries within. Circumstances are neutral, mutual. They are tests, not verdicts. They respond to the meaning you assign them. Where one man sees disaster, another sees opportunity. Where one sees an excuse to quit, the other sees a reason to push harder. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the spirit confronting it. How about the man who controls his attitude controls the battlefield? He may not choose every event, but he always chooses his response. And in that response lies the seed of triumph or defeat. Inner power is not about arrogance. It is not about pretending to be unaffected. It is about being deeply rooted so that nothing on the surface can shake what lies beneath. It is the discipline to remain calm in chaos, to think clearly in confusion, to act decisively when fear tempts you to flee. Inner power is forged in silence, when no one is watching, when praise is absent, when doubt is loud and encouragement is nowhere to be found. It is in these moments that a man either builds or breaks. The man who refuses to be defeated in mind cannot be defeated in life, because he will not quit. He may bend, but he will not break. He may fall, but he will not stay down. And in that persistence, the world eventually yields. Life respects the determined. Circumstances retreat before those who refuse to yield to them. Time, pressure, rejection, failure, all become tools in the hands of the one who turns adversity into fuel. He does not simply survive his struggles. He transforms them into stepping stones. This inner power is not given. It is earned. It is earned each time you choose discipline over distraction, effort over excuse, courage over comfort. It is built by the small daily decisions to believe in your cause, your calling, and your ability to endure. Every trial is a test of your mental posture. The world may say a no, but if your soul still says a yes, then it is not the end. Too many surrender before they are beaten. They let disappointment convince them that their time has passed. They allow fear to steal their future. Okay. But the one who masters his mind, who shapes his thoughts like a sculptor molds stone, becomes unshakable. He understands that the outside world changes, but the inner world must remain firm. His attitude is not dictated by the headlines, the bank account, or the opinions of others. It is dictated by purpose, by vision, by an unbreakable standard of self-command. When setbacks come, as they always do, your inner power is your shield. Others may crumble under pressure, but you remain focused. Others may blame, panic, or quit, but you keep moving, not because it's easy, but because you refuse to hand your destiny over to chance, your destiny over to chance. You are led by conviction, and this makes all the difference. Response is everything. When you respond with strength, strength grows. When you respond with clarity, clarity sharpens. And when you respond with courage, courage becomes your nature. The world mirrors your energy. If you face it with defeat in your eyes, it confirms your loss. It confirms your loss. But if you face it with fire in your heart, it begins to move. This is not theory. It is truth experienced by every person who has risen from the ashes of hardship into the light of achievement. Your attitude is the command enter. It is the lens through which you view every event. A weak attitude turns obstacles into excuses. A powerful attitude turns obstacles into fuel. This is why two men can face the same storm and end up in opposite places. One gives up, the other grows up. One blames fate, the other builds his future. And that difference begins with what they believe about their own power to respond. Do not pray for perfect circumstances. Pray for unshakable strength. Do not wait for the world to be easy. Become stronger than the world is hard. Life bows to the man who will not break, to the man who continues to rise, who refuses to surrender his mind to fear, failure, or defeat. This man becomes unstoppable, not because everything goes his way, but because nothing can stop him from going his way. This is your power, to decide that no matter what, you will move forward, that no matter the odds, you will hold the line, that no matter how many times you're knocked down, you will get up one more time. Circumstances cannot stop this kind of soul. They may delay you, challenge you, humble you, but in the end, they bow because they recognize that in the face of true inner power, they have no command. So stand firm. Let the storm come. Let the winds howl and the skies darken. You do not need the world to go easy on you. You only need to remain faithful to the power within. Every result begins with a response, and every response is born from attitude. Choose strength. Choose resolve. Choose the mind that will not be defeated. And the world will have no choice but to step aside. Optimism fuels persistence. It is not a decoration of the mind. It is its engine. A man with a positive attitude does not walk through life blind to difficulty. He walks through it undefeated by it. When others see dead ends, he sees detours. He sees detours. When others quit at the first sign of resistance, he leans into the struggle with a smile that says, "You will not break me." This is not naivety. It is power. Optimism is not ignorance of reality. It is mastery over it. It is the choice to believe that the pain has purpose, that the work will pay off, and that what lies ahead is greater than what lies behind. Persistence without optimism is a burden. It becomes heavy, painful, and ultimately unsustainable. But when optimism fuels it, persistence becomes light, focused, and relentless. It is the difference between dragging your feet through hardship and striding through it with your head high. A positive mind gives meaning to the effort. It turns endurance into elevation. It gives you emotional oxygen when life tries to suffocate you. Optimism tells you that this setback is temporary, that this failure is a lesson, and that the reward is still within reach. When a man believes in a better future, he is far more dangerous to defeat. You cannot stop a man who refuses to give up and believes something great is on the other side of struggle. He may be slowed, but never stopped. He may be wounded, but never broken. Optimism makes you stubborn in your pursuit. It makes you patient when results delay. It makes you fearless when others grow timid. It whispers, even in your darkest hour, keep going. Those without optimism lose their strength early. They fall into despair, paralysis, and passivity. They measure their ability by their current situation, and when that situation looks bleak, they give up. But the optimistic man measures his ability by his inner standard, not his environment. He tells himself, "This is hard, but I am harder. This is slow, but I am steady. This is uncertain, but I will shape certainty with my effort." And that declaration becomes his advantage. Because when the crowd falls away, when the noise fades, and when the road becomes lonely, it is only the man who can smile in struggle that finishes the race. Optimism teaches you to focus on what can be done, not on what cannot. It turns your attention to the next step, the next solution, the next opportunity, no matter how small. And small steps taken consistently by a hopeful heart become massive victories over time. A man who is optimistic about the outcome finds joy in the process. He does not demand instant reward because he trusts in eventual reward. This is why he works while others wait. This is why he trains while others complain. This is why he grows while others shrink. Grows while others shrink. Optimism gives him stamina. Spiritual, emotional, and physical stamina. The persistent man does not chase motivation. He carries it within. He does not need the world to applaud him. He is already convinced of the worthiness of his goal. And that conviction, built on a foundation of optimism, becomes his fuel. He shows up day after day, not because it's worth it. And when others fall away, he remains not because he's more talented, but because he's more anchored in hope. Every victory in history was won by someone who endured what others would not. They persisted when logic said stop. They acted when emotion said quit. And the one thing that kept them from collapse was a vision, a hopeful image of what could be. That is the gift of optimism. It creates mental pictures of triumph so powerful they pull a man forward even when his strength fades. Life will test your resolve. It will throw setbacks, delays, and losses. It will demand more than you thought you could give. But the one thing life cannot take from you is your attitude, unless you surrender it. And when you protect your optimism like a sacred fire, you gain an edge over every obstacle. You stay in the game longer. You recover faster. You push harder. You see more. You become more. This is the man who succeeds. The one who dares to believe that the pain will pass, the lesson will come, the dream will live. He may fall 1,000 times, but he will rise 1,001. Not because he is lucky, not because he is perfect, but because he refused to stop believing. And that belief gave him the courage to endure until life had no choice but to reward him. Optimism does not guarantee ease, but it guarantees resilience. It does not erase hardship, but it gives hardship meaning. And when pain has meaning, it can be endured. When failure is seen as feedback, it becomes fuel. When delay is seen as preparation, it becomes strength. This is the mindset of the unbreakable. This is the soul of the persistent. But choose to be that man. Hold fast to your vision when the path darkens. Speak hope into the silent light where others see none. And walk forward, not because the road is smooth, but because the reward is certain for the one who refuses to turn back. Optimism is the fire that keeps persistence alive. Feed it daily, and there is nothing you cannot outlast. You become what you continually think. The thoughts you dwell on, the images you replay, the mental movies you project onto the screen of your mind. They do not merely entertain, they create. A man's dominant thoughts are not harmless reflections. They are blueprints. They are the silent architects of his future. What he allows to take root in the soil of his mind will, over time, rise and take shape in the conditions of his life. This is a law, not a theory. The mind, when focused with clarity and repetition, becomes a magnet for the very thing it consistently imagines. Every great achievement began not with action, but with vision. And that vision was held day after day, even when it contradicted reality. Success is first built in thought, brick by brick, word by word, image by image. The mind must see it long before the hands can touch it. If your inner world is filled with fear, doubt, confusion, and defeat, then no external victory will last. The world outside you only reflects what you insist upon believing inside. Your thoughts are not background noise. They are the silent leaders of your life. A man who holds the image of strength becomes strong, not because of some mystical power, but because his choices, his actions, his posture, his speech, and his expectations begin to align that inner image. If he sees himself as weak, he will hesitate. He will back down. He will avoid challenge. But if he sees himself as powerful, he will lean into pressure. He will rise with courage. He will move forward with command. The outer man becomes the servant of the inner vision. This is why the mind must be guarded as a sacred temple. You cannot afford to entertain weakness and expect strength. You cannot dwell on failure and expect success. You cannot indulge in negativity and hope to produce joy. Whatever is repeated grows. Whatever is focused on expands. The thoughts you allow to dominate your mental space become habits. Habits become behavior. And behavior becomes your destiny. You do not need to know how everything will work out. You only need to see clearly what you want and hold that image with unshakable loyalty. The how will appear to the committed mind. But the man who allows his thoughts to wander from fear to fear, from doubt to doubt, lives in a fog. He builds nothing. He begins and then breaks. He hopes and then hesitates. And eventually he falls into the quiet despair of the man who believes he has no power. But it is not that he lacked power. It is that he misused the one power he always had, the power to choose his thoughts. If you hold images of joy, gratitude, strength, and victory, the mind begins to mold itself into that pattern. And soon the emotions, the choices, the actions, and the results begin to reflect it. Or words change. Your energy shifts. People respond differently. Opportunities begin to appear. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You do not see life as it is. You see it as you are. And when you change, life must respond. This is not wishful thinking. It is disciplined thinking. It is the commitment to feed the mind what empowers and starve it and what weakens. The man who holds a vision of himself rising again and again, even in defeat, becomes resilient. The man who sees himself as joyful, regardless of conditions, becomes peaceful. The man who imagines himself worthy of greatness begins to attract it, not through magic, but through preparation. His self-image aligns his behavior with success. His habits begin to match his vision. But the mind cannot serve two masters. You cannot affirm success in the morning and dwell on failure all day. You cannot visualize greatness and speak defeat. You cannot see yourself as powerful and tolerate weak thoughts. The mind, when confused, shuts down. But when given a clear, dominant image, fed by repetition, emotion, and belief, it begins to organize your entire being toward that picture. That is the power of thought. That is the weight of imagination. So think deliberately. Think like a man who commands his future. Hold images that lift, not lower, that build, not break. Let the pictures in your mind be filled with light, even when your surroundings seem dark. Speak to yourself as if greatness is already forming within you, because it is. Each time you repeat a thought, you give it energy. Each time you imagine a better version of yourself, you take a step toward it, and over time, the vision you once only held in your mind becomes the reality you stand in. Do not wait for success to believe in it. Believe in it, and it will begin to shape your action. Do not wait for strength to act strong. Think strong, and strength will rise. You must become the mental version of the man you wish to be, long before the evidence appears. The thoughts are the cause. The life is the effect. Your mind is a garden. What you plant, you will harvest. Plant power, and you'll reap it. Plant confidence, and it will return to you multiplied. Plant focus, clarity, ambition, and resolve. And your life will grow into the image you have faithfully cultivated. You become what you continually think. So think like your future depends on it, because achieving with the man who persists with optimism in his heart cannot be stopped. His eyes may face storms. His body may feel the weight of 1,000 trials, but his spirit, his inner flame, refuses to flicker. It is not raw strength that separates the winner from the weak. It is his attitude toward the climb. Optimism is the secret energy. It is invisible but powerful. It feeds the soul when the body tires. It speaks of victory when the world screams defeat. And it pushes a man one more inch forward when everything around him begs him to fall back. The reason most men fail is not because they lack skill or time or talent. They fail because they run out of belief. When things go wrong, when doors close, when effort produces no visible reward, they abandon the path. But the man who refuses to surrender his faith, who holds a clear picture in his mind and speaks to himself like one who already possesses the prize, will keep going. And that one step he takes beyond the edge, where others quit, becomes the turning point of his destiny. Optimism is not foolish hope. It is not sitting idle with dreams and no discipline. No, it is a tool of creation. It is a weapon of resilience. It allows a man to face brutal facts without letting those facts control his future. The man with an optimistic spirit says, yes, it is hard, but it is not hopeless. He does not lie to himself. He elevates himself. He does not deny the mountain. He simply refuses to be overwhelmed by it. And because he chooses to believe there is a way, he discovers it. The fire of optimism keeps the engine of persistence alive. When the road stretches long and the progress seems slow, the average man gives in. He says, I've tried enough. But the uncommon man, the one who holds his vision with discipline, he continues. He tells himself just one more step, just one more hour, just one more swing. That voice, fueled by belief in something better ahead, becomes his strength. When strength is gone, and that extra hour, that extra call, that extra decision to keep going, that is where greatness begins. Every man who has done anything extraordinary in life has walked through valleys of frustration and loneliness, but he walked through. He did not set up camp in discouragement and head up camp in discouragement. He did not feed on self-pity. He fed on vision. He fed on the dream. He told himself over and over, this too shall pass. And it did, because time cannot stop the man who outlasts his pain. Pressure cannot crush the soul that refuses to fold. The man who believes in the reward has already secured the strength to reach it. There is no substitute for inner cheerfulness in the face of hardship. The world will test you. People will disappoint you. Results will delay. But what will you do then? Will you join the ranks of the defeated? Or will you declare with your attitude, I was born to rise up? When you carry that declaration in your heart, you don't wait for things to go right. You make them right. You don't wait for motivation. You manufacture it with your words, your energy, your mental posture. Some say optimism is unrealistic. But what is truly unrealistic is to expect to win in life while thinking like a loser. No man can rise while poisoning his mind with doubt and complaint. Victory begins in thought. Achievement begins with an unshakable belief that something greater is on the other side of the struggle. If you can hold that belief through failure, through fatigue, through criticism, then you are already more powerful than 99 out of 100. And let it be known, every delay, every detour, every fall, these are not signs to quit. They are the gymnasium of character. They are training ground for the man who is destined to lead, to build, to shape the world with the sheer force of his determination. You are not being punished by difficulty. You are being forged by it, but only the optimistic man sees it that way. Only he can smile while under pressure. Only he can stand tall when others fall flat. And because he endures longer, he eventually achieves more. He eventually achieves more. Life bows to the determined. Opportunity eventually yields to the man who refuses to retreat. And what fuels that refusal? It is not pride. It is not ego. It is a heart lit with the flame of belief. It is optimism, not the soft kind, but the steel-forged kind. The kind that looks life in the eye and says, no matter what comes, I will keep moving. Persist without belief, and you burn out. Persist with belief, and you rise. Your mind must be your strongest muscle. It must speak life into your steps. It must carry you on days when nothing else will. This is the discipline of champions, to see the unseen, to trust the process, to fall and rise again with fire in your eyes. So let the world shake. Let the nights grow long. Let the road stretch endlessly. The man who chooses optimism will keep walking. He will not wait for perfect weather. He will not need applause or evidence. He walks because he knows that he is becoming the kind of man who can handle the victory he seeks. There will come a day when those who laughed will be silent, when those who quit will watch, when those who doubted will wonder how you did it. And you will know it was not luck, it was not timing, it was persistence, furled by the quiet, powerful, unstoppable force of optimism. And that force, once planted in your heart, once trained and fed daily, will turn you into something rare, something dangerous, something inevitable.